Your mum wouldn't even need this if you'd had a real job. Those words hit me like ice water through the phone. Aunt Vivian's voice, dripping with that particular brand of family poison she'd perfected over the years. I was standing in my cramped studio apartment, paint still wet under my fingernails, when she delivered that gut punch about Mum's cancer diagnosis. My name is Delaney, and apparently I'm the family disappointment. At least, that's what they've been telling me for the past 3 years, ever since I walked away from law school to chase what they call my little art hobby. I remember the exact moment I knew they'd never forgive me. It was Lindsay's MBA graduation dinner. The whole family gathered around the table at some overpriced steakhouse, toasting my sister's corporate success while I sat there like a ghost. To Lindsay, Dad raised his glass, his voice actually carrying pride for once. Our first MBA graduate. And definitely not our last, Mum chimed in, shooting me a pointed look. Some people still have time to make better choices. Lindsay practically glowed. Thanks, everyone. I mean, it wasn't easy, but at least I know I'm building something real, something that matters. The silence that followed was deafening. I could feel their eyes on me, waiting for me to defend myself, to explain why I'd thrown away a full scholarship to chase what Aston called finger painting for adults. Congratulations, Lindsay, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'm proud of you. Thanks. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Maybe you could still apply for next year's program. It's not too late to fix things. Fix things, like I was broken. Aston leaned back in his chair, already 3 drinks in. You know, Del, I was talking to my buddy Marcus about investment opportunities. Art's a tough market, really tough. Most people lose everything. I'm not most people. Right, he laughed, the kind that makes your skin crawl. Look, I get it. Everyone needs a creative outlet, but maybe it's time to think about a backup plan, something stable. Mum nodded along. Your father and I just worry about your future. We want you to be secure. I am secure. Selling paintings at weekend markets isn't secure, honey. Mum's voice carried that teacher tone she'd perfected during her years as a principal. It's a phase. That was 2 years ago. Since then, I'd been proving them wrong one canvas at a time, working 3 jobs to keep my studio, selling pieces to collectors who actually understood what I was creating. But to them, I was still the daughter who'd lost her way. Now Mum was sick, and somehow that was my fault too. I hung up on Vivian and stared at my latest painting, a swirling mass of blues and greys that looked like drowning. My phone buzzed with messages from Lindsay and Aston, both asking if I'd heard about Mum's diagnosis, both somehow making it sound like an inconvenience. Can you handle calling the insurance company? Lindsay texted. I'm swamped at work. Aston's message was even better. Heard about Mum. Tough break. Let me know if you need me to coordinate anything. I know people. Neither of them mentioned treatment costs. Neither asked how we'd pay for it. They just assumed someone else would figure it out. I walked to my easel and picked up my brush. The painting stared back at me, unfinished and angry. 3 years of their dismissal, their casual cruelty disguised as concern, their complete inability to see me as anything more than a cautionary tale. My phone rang again. This time it was Dad. Delaney, your mother wants to see you. How bad is it? Bad enough. His voice cracked. The treatments, they're expensive. Insurance will cover some, but I'll figure it out. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Because that's what you do for family, even when family treats you like a stranger, even when they've spent years making you feel invisible, even when they've made it clear that your dreams don't matter. I hung up and looked around my tiny apartment. Everything I owned, everything I'd built, everything I'd sacrificed for my art. It might not be enough, but it was all I had. My phone buzzed one more time, an email from an address I didn't recognize, with a subject line that made my heart skip. International competition, hearts born of disappointment. I opened it and started reading. The hospital smelled like disinfectant and broken dreams. I sat in the billing office, watching numbers climb on a computer screen like some twisted lottery I never wanted to win. The total for the first round of treatments will be $47,000, the billing coordinator said, her voice professionally sympathetic. Insurance covers about 60%. I did the math. $18,800, money I didn't have. Can we set up a payment plan? Of course. What would you be comfortable with monthly? I thought about my 3 jobs: morning shifts at the cafe, afternoon art classes for kids, weekend market booth, maybe $800 a month if I ate nothing but ramen. I'll pay it up front. She looked surprised. All of it? All of it. I walked out of that office knowing I was about to lose everything: my apartment, my studio, probably my sanity. But Mum was going to live. The next morning, I called my landlord. I need to mortgage my apartment. Delaney, you barely have any equity. Whatever I can get. 3 days later, I had $12,000 in my bank account and 30 days to find somewhere else to live. I spent the afternoon calling every collector who'd ever bought one of my pieces. Mrs. Patterson, who'd purchased my Midnight series last year, agreed to buy 3 more paintings for twice what I'd normally charge. James Morrison, who owned a small gallery downtown, took everything I had in storage. By evening, I was $8,000 short. My phone rang. Lindsay. Hey, how's Mum doing? She starts chemo next week. That's good. That's really good. A pause. Listen, I saw on Facebook that you're selling paintings. Are you okay financially? For a second, I thought she might offer to help. I'm managing. Good. I mean, I'd love to help, but you know how it is. I just bought the condo, and with my student loans. I understand. You're so strong, Del. I don't know how you do it. She hung up. 2 minutes later, she posted on Instagram. Praying for my mum during this difficult time. Family is everything. Far blessed Shah family first, Aston called an hour later. Heard you're liquidating assets. Smart move. Diversification is key in uncertain times. I'm paying for Mum's treatment. Right, of course. Hey, if you need business advice on maximising your art sales, I know some people. For a small consulting fee, obviously. Obviously. Think about it. This could be a great opportunity to really monetize your talent. He hung up before I could respond. His Facebook post went live 20 minutes later. Sometimes life tests us in ways we never expect. Grateful for family strength during challenging times. Or never give up, or fast family strong. I stared at my phone, watching the likes and comments pour in. Such a good son. Your family is lucky to have you. Praying for your mum. Not one mention of who was actually paying the bills. The next day, I met with Chaz at his gallery. He'd been buying my work for 2 years, one of the few people who understood what I was trying to say with paint. I need to sell everything, I told him. Fast. He looked at the paintings I'd brought. These are your best pieces. You sure about this? My mum has cancer. Shit. He ran his hand through his hair. Okay, I can move these in a week, but you're going to take a hit on price. How much of a hit? Maybe 60 cents on the dollar. Collectors know when you're desperate. Do it. While Chaz made calls, I sat in the hospital cafeteria with Mom. She looked smaller somehow, like the diagnosis had physically shrunk her. You don't have to do this, she said quietly. Yes, I do. Your art will still be there when you're better. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. For a moment I thought maybe things would be different now. Maybe this would change how she saw me. Then Vivian appeared at our table. Well, look at this, the starving artist playing hero. She sat down uninvited. Marlene, you know she's just doing this for attention, right? Vivienne, Mum started. I'm serious. She drops out of law school, embarrasses the whole family, and now suddenly she's Mother Teresa because she sold some finger paintings. I stood up. Those finger paintings are paying for treatment that could save her life. Please, if you'd stayed in school like a normal person, you'd have a real job with real insurance. This whole mess could have been avoided. Mum said nothing, just sat there while her sister tore me apart. That night, I got the email. Anonymous sender, subject line that made my blood freeze. International competition. Hearts born of disappointment. I opened it and started reading about a contest for artists who'd transformed personal rejection into universal truth. Prize money, $500,000. I looked around my empty apartment, boxes packed and ready for storage. Everything I owned fit in my car now, but maybe that was exactly what I needed to create something that would make them all pay attention. I moved into Chaz's storage room behind the gallery. 50 square feet of concrete floor and fluorescent lights, but it had electricity and running water. More importantly, it had space for an easel. "This is temporary," Chaz said, helping me carry in my supplies. "Just until you get back on your feet." "I know. The competition deadline is in 6 weeks. You sure you want to rush this?" I mixed paint on my palette, deep reds bleeding into black. I've been preparing for this my whole life. The first painting came together in 3 days. Abstract figures drowning in a sea of indifference, their mouths open in silent screams. I called it invisible labour. The second took a week, hands reaching up from darkness, while shadows above counted money. The cost of love. By the third week, I had 7 paintings that made my chest tight just looking at them. My phone rang. Brianna. "Delaney! Oh my God, I heard about your mum. How are you holding up?" I hadn't talked to Brianna since high school. We'd been close once before life pulled us in different directions. "I'm managing. Listen, I know this is random, but I'm working in art management now. I represent emerging artists, help them break into bigger markets." "Congratulations. I saw some of your work online. It's incredible, really powerful stuff." I wiped paint from my hands. "What do you want, Brianna?" "There's this international competition, Vienna Art Prize. The theme is perfect for what you're doing. Art born from personal struggle. The winner gets $500,000 and a feature in Art Forum." "I already know about it." "You're entering?" "Maybe." "Delaney, this could change everything for you. Let me help. I know the judges. I know what they're looking for." "Why would you help me?" "Because we're friends, and because you deserve recognition." Something in her voice made me pause, but I needed allies. "Okay, come see what I'm working on." She arrived an hour later, dressed like she'd stepped out of a magazine. The storage room suddenly felt even smaller. "Jesus, Delaney, you're living here?" "Temporarily." She walked around my paintings, stopping at each one. "These are intense, really intense." "Too much?" "No, they're perfect." She turned to me. "This is exactly what the Vienna judges want. Raw emotion, personal truth. You have to enter. The entry fee is $500. I'll cover it. Brianna, consider it an investment. When you win, we'll talk about representation." That night, Aston called. "Hey, little sister, how's the art world treating you?" "Fine." "Listen, I've been thinking. This whole situation with Mum got me wondering about alternative investments. Art's having a moment, right? Maybe we could work together." "Work together how?" "I'm developing this new property, high-end condos. I need some original artwork for the lobby. Something that says, sophisticated but approachable. You interested?" I looked at my paintings, raw, angry, bleeding with years of pain. "I don't think my work fits what you're looking for." "Come on, you're flexible. You could paint something more commercial. I'm talking good money here. $5,000 for 3 pieces." "5,000. See, I knew you'd be interested. Just tone down the weird abstract stuff. Maybe some nice landscapes. Flowers." "I'll think about it." "Don't think too long. I need them in 2 weeks." He hung up. 10 minutes later, his Instagram story showed him at some charity gala, caption reading, "Supporting local artists and family. Sir Give Back Our Community Strong." The next morning, I found Vivian in the hospital hallway, talking to 2 other women I didn't recognise. "She's always been dramatic," Vivian was saying. "Even as a child, everything had to be about her." "But she's paying for the treatment?" one woman asked. "Please, she sold some paintings. It's not like she's making a real sacrifice. Artists love playing the martyr." I walked past them to Mum's room. She was awake, looking better than she had in weeks. "How are you feeling?" "Stronger. The The doctors say the treatment is working. That's great news. Delaney, I want you to know you don't have to say anything. Yes, I do. What you did, selling your work, giving up your apartment, I know it wasn't easy. For a moment, I thought she might actually apologize, might acknowledge what her indifference had cost me. I'm proud of you for helping family when it mattered. Not for my art, not for my sacrifice, for helping family. I kissed her forehead and left. That evening, I put the finishing touches on my competition entry, 8 paintings that told the story of invisible daughters and the price of unconditional love. Brianna came by to help me photograph them for submission. These are going to destroy the competition, she said, adjusting the lighting. The judges are going to eat this up. What if they don't? They will, trust me. I submitted the portfolio at 11:47 p.m., 6 minutes before the deadline. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. She'll fall harder the higher she climbs. I stared at the message, my blood running cold. Only one person I knew talked like that. Vivienne. The call came at 6:23 a.m. on a Tuesday. International number. Ms. Douglas, this is Helena Richter from the Vienna Art Foundation. Congratulations, you've won the grand prize. I dropped my coffee mug. It shattered across the concrete floor of my storage room home. I'm sorry, what? The Vienna International Art Prize, your submission. Hearts Born of Disappointment has been selected as this year's winner. The prize is $500,000 plus a feature spread in Art Forum International. My hands started shaking. Are you sure? Quite sure. The judges were unanimous. Your work was described as devastatingly honest and a masterclass in transforming personal pain into universal truth. I sat down hard on my makeshift bed. When do I find out officially? The announcement goes live in 1 hour. Congratulations, Ms. Douglas. You've created something truly extraordinary. 57 minutes later, my phone exploded. The first call was Brianna, screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. Delaney, oh my God, you did it. You actually did it. I can't believe it. I can. I knew those judges would see what I saw. This is huge. This is career-making huge. The second call was from a number I recognised. Lindsay. Dell, oh my God, I just saw the news online. $500,000. That's incredible. Thanks. Wow, I had no idea your art was... I always knew you were talented, but this is next level. Uh-huh. Listen, I know things have been weird between us, but I want you to know how proud I am. We should celebrate. Dinner this weekend? Before I could answer, another call came in. Aston. Holy shit, Dell, my little sister, the international art star. Hi, Aston. I'm looking at the article right now. Emerging American artist Delaney Douglas takes Vienna by storm. This is insane. Good insane. Yeah, it's pretty surreal. Listen, forget what I said about commercial art. You're obviously operating on a completely different level. I've got some collector friends who are going to want to meet you, high-end investors. I'll think about it. Don't think too long. Strike while the iron's hot, you know. The calls kept coming. Dad, crying actual tears of pride. Mum, weak but excited from her hospital bed. Cousins I hadn't heard from in years. High school teachers. That guy from the coffee shop who'd always been dismissive when I paid with crumpled bills. By noon, my social media was flooded with congratulations from people who'd ignored me for years. Lindsay's Instagram post made me laugh out loud. So proud of my incredibly talented sister, Andel Art. Always knew she was destined for greatness. Proud sister, you are artists in the family. Never gave up. The comments were even better. Your sister is so lucky to have such a supportive family. You must have always believed in her. Such a close family. Aston's post was more subtle but equally infuriating. Sometimes the biggest risks lead to the biggest rewards. Proud of family who follow their dreams. Entrepreneur mindset. Your family first. Art meets success. Even Vivienne posted something. Congratulations to my niece on her achievement. Family success is everyone's success. My phone rang again. Chaz. You beautiful, brilliant genius. Do you know what you've done? Won a contest? You've made us both rich. I've got 17 people calling about your work. 17. I could sell everything in your portfolio 3 times over. That's great. Great? It's a fucking miracle. You want to know what Mrs. Patterson just offered for one of your older pieces? The one she bought for $2,000 last year? 15,000? 15? I walked to my easel where I'd been working on something new. A portrait, but different from anything I'd done before. More personal, more dangerous. Chaz, I need you to keep this quiet, but I'm working on something special. Another series? Just one piece, but it's important. How important? I looked at the canvas, half finished but already powerful. Important enough that I need you to promise me something. What? When I'm ready to show it, you'll display it exactly how I want, no questions asked. Delaney, what are you planning? Justice. That evening, I got a text from Mum. The whole family wants to throw you a celebration dinner. Your birthday is next month anyway. Please say yes. Another text, this one from Lindsay. I'm planning something special for your birthday. The whole family will be there. We want to show you how proud we are. And finally, Aston. Let me host your birthday party. I've got the perfect venue. Time to celebrate the family success story. I stared at those messages for a long time. Then I picked up my brush and added another stroke to the painting. A celebration dinner. The whole family together. Perfect. My phone buzzed one more time. A message from an art blogger I'd never heard of. Heard through the grapevine about a mysterious piece called Unforgiven, making waves in underground art circles. Any comment? I smiled and turned back to my canvas. Soon, I whispered to the half-finished faces staring back at me. Very soon. The restaurant was fancier than anywhere we'd ever eaten as a family. Aston had reserved the private dining room, complete with crystal glasses and cloth napkins that probably cost more than my old monthly grocery budget. This is incredible, Mum said, looking around the room. She'd gained some weight back, colour returning to her cheeks. The treatment was working. Only the best for our international art star, Aston grinned, pulling out her chair. Nothing's too good for family. Lindsay arrived with a bottle of champagne that looked expensive. For the guest of honour? She hugged me tight, like we'd always been close. I can't believe my little sister is famous. Dad sat quietly, but he kept smiling at me. Real smiles, not the worried looks I'd gotten used to. So, tell us everything, Lindsay said as we sat down. What was it like getting that call? I bet you screamed. I dropped my coffee. That's so you, Aston laughed. Always understated. But seriously, Del, this is huge. Life-changing huge. The waiter brought appetizers I couldn't pronounce. Everyone was talking at once, asking about interviews and photo shoots, and what I'd do with the prize money. You should invest it, Aston said. I know some great opportunities. Real estate's always solid. Or pay off your student loans, Mum suggested. Get a fresh start. What student loans? I asked. From law school, before you know. I never took loans for law school. I had a scholarship. Awkward silence. Right, Mum said quickly. Of course, I just meant, if you had any debts. Lindsay jumped in. The important thing is you're successful now. All that struggle was worth it. What struggle? The starving artist thing. Living in that tiny apartment, working all those jobs. I looked around the table. You mean when I was paying for Mum's cancer treatment? Another silence. Well, yes, Lindsay said carefully. But that's behind us now. You're successful. You made it. The main course arrived. Perfectly cooked steaks that cost more than I used to make in a day. I have to ask, Mum said, cutting her meat. What inspired those paintings, the ones that won? I took a sip of wine. Personal experience. They were so intense, she continued. All that pain and anger. Where did that come from? I stared at her. Where do you think it came from? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Aston cleared his throat. Art's supposed to be emotional, right? That's what makes it valuable. Exactly, Lindsay nodded. You took your emotions and turned them into something profitable. It's actually really smart. I excused myself to use the bathroom. In the hallway, I called Chaz. How's the family celebration? He asked. Perfect. Is everything ready for tomorrow? The piece is hung exactly where you wanted it, anonymous like you requested. But Delaney, are you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything. It's going to cause a shitstorm. Good. When I returned to the table, they were talking about vacation plans. We should all go somewhere together, Mum was saying. A family trip. We could afford something nice now. Great idea, Aston said. I know this place in the Hamptons. We could rent a house for a week, Lindsay added. Really reconnect as a family. I sat down and picked up my fork. That sounds lovely. You're being quiet, Dad said. Everything okay? Just thinking. About what? I looked around the table at their expectant faces. All of them so happy, so proud, so ready to claim credit for supporting me. About how things change. They do, Mum smiled. Sometimes for the better. Sometimes. Dessert came with a candle, even though my birthday wasn't for another week. They sang Happy Birthday off key, and I blew out the flame. Make a wish, Lindsay said. I already did. As we were leaving, I overheard Lindsay talking to Mum by the coat check. I'm glad she turned her little hobby into something useful, Lindsay said quietly. Maybe now she'll understand why we were worried about her choices. She was always so stubborn, Mum replied. But you're right, at least the art thing worked out. They didn't see me standing there. In the parking lot, everyone hugged me goodbye. This was perfect, Mum said, just like old times. Better than old times, Aston corrected. Now we have something to really celebrate. See you soon, Lindsay called out. We should do this more often. I drove back to the gallery in silence. Chaz was waiting for me with a cup of coffee and a worried expression. Last chance to change your mind, he said. I walked over to the covered painting in the corner. Even hidden under the cloth, it felt powerful, dangerous. Tomorrow's the opening? 2 p.m. I've already got 50 people confirmed, including some major collectors and that critic from the Times. Perfect. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Heard about your little surprise tomorrow. This won't end well for you. I showed Chaz the text. Vivienne? He asked. Has to be. How does she know? I pulled the cloth off the painting and stared at it. 3 months of work. Every brushstroke deliberate. Every detail calculated for maximum impact. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Delaney, this is going to destroy your family. No, I said, touching up one final detail. It's going to show them exactly who they are. The gallery was packed. I'd never seen so many people at one of Chaz's openings. Word had gotten out about the mysterious new piece by the Vienna Prize winner, and the art world was buzzing. I stood in the corner, watching my family arrive. Mum looked nervous but excited. Dad kept adjusting his tie. Lindsay had brought her boyfriend, and Aston showed up with some woman I didn't recognise. There she is, Aston called out, spotting me across the room. The star of the show! They made their way over, champagne glasses in hand, all smiles and congratulations. This is so exciting, Mum said, squeezing my arm. Your first major gallery showing since Vienna. What's the piece called? Lindsay asked, looking around. I don't see anything new. It's in the back room, I said. The centrepiece. Chaz wanted to build suspense. Very dramatic, Aston laughed. I love it. Great marketing. Vivienne appeared at my elbow like a bad omen. Well, well, look who's the centre of attention now. Hello, Vivienne. I heard you have something special to show us today. I do. Her smile was sharp. I can't wait to see it. Chaz stepped onto a small platform and tapped his wine glass. The crowd quieted. Thank you all for coming. Tonight we're privileged to debut a new work by Vienna Prize winner Delaney Douglas. This piece, titled Unforgiven, represents a departure from her previous work, More personal, more direct, more revealing. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The artist has requested that her family be the first to view the piece. Delaney? I walked to the front of the room. My family followed, looking pleased to be singled out. Before we see the painting, I said, my voice carrying clearly, I want to say something about family. Mom beamed. Dad nodded encouragingly. Family is supposed to be your foundation, the people who believe in you when no one else will, who support your dreams even when they don't understand them. That's beautiful, honey, Mum said. Family should celebrate your successes and help you through failures. They should see your worth even when the world doesn't. Lindsay wiped her eyes. You're going to make me cry. But sometimes, I continued, family becomes the very thing that breaks you. Sometimes the people who should love you unconditionally are the ones who make you feel worthless. The room got quieter. Sometimes you sacrifice everything for people who wouldn't cross the street for you. Sometimes you give until you have nothing left, and they still find ways to diminish what you've done. Aston shifted uncomfortably. Del, what are you... Sometimes, I said louder, the only way to make them see you is to show them exactly who they are. I walked to the back room and pulled the rope. The curtain fell away. The painting was 6 feet tall and 8 feet wide, photorealistic in its detail. It showed a hospital billing office, viewed from above like a security camera. 5 figures sat around a desk covered in medical bills and insurance forms. But these weren't just any figures. They were my family, painted with brutal accuracy. Mum in her hospital gown, looking small and scared. Dad beside her, hands folded helplessly. Lindsay checking her phone. Aston looking at his watch. Vivienne whispering to someone off canvas. And in the corner, barely visible, a 6th figure. Me, standing alone by a payment window, credit card in hand. But that wasn't the devastating part. Above each figure, painted in elegant script, were their actual words, text messages, social media posts, conversations I'd overheard, all of it. Above Lindsay, glad she turned her little hobby into something useful. Above Aston, she's always been dramatic. Everything has to be about her. Above Vivienne, the starving artist playing hero. Above Mum, it's not like she's making a real sacrifice. And at the bottom, in gold letters, Vienna International Art Prize winner, prize money donated to the Miriam Ray Foundation in honour of a mother who actually believed. The silence was deafening. Mum's hand flew to her mouth. Lindsay went pale. Aston's face turned red. "What the hell is this?" he whispered. "It's the truth," I said calmly. "It's what you all really think of me, painted exactly as it happened." "Delaney," Mum's voice was shaking, "you can't... This isn't... fair?" I asked. "You're right. It's not fair. Just like it wasn't fair when I sold everything I owned to save your life while you all posted on social media about family strength." "We supported you," Lindsay said weakly. "You supported the idea of me, the version that made you look good, but you never supported me." Vivienne stepped forward, her face twisted with rage. "You vindictive little—" "Careful," I said. "There are reporters here." And there were. I could see phones recording, cameras flashing. The art critic from the Times was taking notes furiously. "The prize money," Dad said quietly. "You really gave it all away. Every penny, to Brianna's mother's foundation. She died of cancer 3 years ago, but she used to come to my art shows. She told me I had talent when no one else would." Mum started crying, real tears, not the performative kind. "I wanted to do something for a mother who never doubted," I said, looking directly at her, "since mine never believed." The crowd was pressing closer, trying to see the painting, trying to hear every word. Aston grabbed my arm. "You're going to destroy this family." I pulled away. "I didn't destroy anything. I just painted what was already there." "This is cruel," Lindsay whispered. "No," I said. "Cruel is watching your daughter sell everything she owns to save your life and then calling it a hobby. Cruel is taking credit for someone else's sacrifice. cruel is making someone feel invisible for 3 years and then acting proud when the world finally sees them. I walked towards the exit, leaving them standing there with their truth hanging on the wall for everyone to see. "Delaney, wait," Dad called out. I turned back. "What?" His voice was barely audible. "We failed you, and now we can't fix it." "No," I said, "you can't." The aftermath hit like a tsunami. I sat in my storage room the next morning, scrolling through hundreds of messages. The gallery opening had gone viral overnight. Someone had live-streamed the whole confrontation, and now Sue Unforgiven painting was trending on 3 different platforms. My phone rang. Chaz. "Delaney, you need to see the news." "Which news?" "All of it. CNN picked up the story, so did the Times, the Post, and about 50 art blogs. You're everywhere." I turned on my laptop. The headlines were brutal. "Artist's Revenge, Vienna Winner Exposes Family Hypocrisy in Stunning Gallery Ambush." The painting that destroyed a family when art becomes warfare. Viral art piece shows the dark side of family dynamics. My phone buzzed with a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Delaney, this is Sarah Martinez from Good Morning America. We'd love to have you on the show to discuss." I hung up. It rang again immediately. "Ms. Douglas, this is James Patterson from the Washington Post. I'm writing a piece about your gallery exhibition and—" I turned the phone off, but I couldn't turn off the internet. The comments were pouring in by the thousands. "This is the most powerful piece of art I've ever seen. She's a vindictive narcissist who destroyed her family for attention." Finally, someone calling out toxic family dynamics. "This is emotional abuse disguised as art. As someone who paid for my parents' medical bills while my siblings did nothing, I felt this in my soul. She's a monster. She's a hero." The gallery door opened. Lindsay walked in, looking like she hadn't slept. "We need to talk." "Do we?" "The whole world is watching us now. Do you understand what you've done?" I closed my laptop. "I painted the truth. You humiliated us, in public, in front of everyone." "How do you think I felt for 3 years?" She sat down on a paint-stained chair. "We made mistakes, I get that. But this is nuclear." "Good. Aston's talking about suing you for defamation or emotional distress or something. Let him try. Everything in that painting is documented. Screenshots, recordings, witnesses. Mum hasn't stopped crying since yesterday. Maybe she should have thought about that before she let Vivian tear me apart in the hospital cafeteria." Lindsay's voice broke. "She's sick, Delaney. She's still sick. And I'm the one who paid to keep her alive, while you posted Instagram stories about family strength. I know we screwed up, but can't we fix this? Can't we move past it?" I looked at her, really looked. The designer clothes, the perfect makeup, the life built on a foundation of other people's sacrifices. What would moving past it look like, Lindsay? You all pretending to respect my art while secretly thinking I'm still the family failure? More fake congratulations and hollow support? It wouldn't be fake anymore. Because I won a prize, because I'm successful now. But what about when I was struggling? What about when I needed you? She didn't answer. My phone, which I'd forgotten to turn back off, rang again. This time it was Mom. "Delaney, please, can we talk?" "We're talking. In person. Just you and me." "Why?" "Because I need to say things I should have said years ago." I met her at the hospital cafe where we'd sat during her treatment. She looked fragile, older than her 59 years. "I saw the news coverage," she said quietly. "And?" "They're calling you brave, revolutionary. They're saying you've started a conversation about family dynamics that needed to happen." "What do you think?" She stirred her coffee for a long time. "I think I failed you as a mother." The words hung between us. I was so focused on what I thought success looked like that I couldn't see what you were actually accomplishing. I was embarrassed by your choices because they weren't my choices. Mum, Let me finish. When you dropped out of law school, I felt like it reflected badly on me, like I'd raised a quitter. But you weren't quitting, you were choosing something harder. She reached into her purse and pulled out a folded newspaper clipping. This is from the Vienna Arts Foundation website, the description of your winning series. Do you know what it says? I shook my head. It says your work transforms personal rejection into universal truth with devastating honesty. It says you've created a new language for discussing family trauma and resilience. She slid the clipping across the table. I never understood your art because I never tried to understand you. And when you needed me most, when you were sacrificing everything for my life, I let other people diminish what you were doing. Why are you telling me this now? Because I'm dying, Delaney. The words hit like ice water. The cancer's back, aggressive this time. The doctors give me maybe 6 months. I stared at her. Does everyone else know? Not yet. I wanted to tell you first. Why? Because you're the one who deserves to know. You're the one who fought for my life when no one else would. She reached across the table and took my hand. I can't undo the damage I've done. I can't take back the years of making you feel invisible, but I can tell you the truth now. Which is? You're the strongest person I know, and I'm sorry it took me this long to see it. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally she spoke again. The painting, it's going to be in museums someday, isn't it? Probably. Good. Let them see what happens when families fail their children. Let them learn from our mistakes. She stood up slowly. I need to go tell the others about the cancer, but Delaney? Yeah? I'm proud of you, not because you won a prize, because you survived us. The messages started flooding in within hours of Mum's diagnosis becoming public. Suddenly, everyone wanted to reconcile, to make amends, to be part of the story. Aston called first. Del, I heard about Mum. Listen, about the lawsuit thing. Forget I ever mentioned it. We need to stick together as a family right now. Now you want to stick together. I know I messed up. We all did. But she's dying, and we can't waste time on grudges. It's not a grudge, Aston. It's consequences. Lindsay showed up at the gallery that evening with takeout and red eyes. I brought Chinese food, your favourite from that place on 5th Street. I'm not hungry. Please, just sit with me for 5 minutes. We ate in silence while she cried into her lo mein. I keep thinking about what you said, she finally whispered, about us only caring now that you're successful. Because it's true. I know, but I want you to know something. When I saw that painting, when I really looked at it, I didn't see an attack. I saw pain, your pain, and I realised I'd been causing it for years. She pulled out her phone and showed me her Instagram. She'd deleted every post about my success, every fake family moment, every hollow congratulation. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she said. I'm just asking you to let me try to be better. The gallery door opened. Vivian walked in, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. I came to apologise. Did you now? That text I sent you, about falling harder the higher you climb, I was angry and jealous and honest. No, I was cruel. I've been cruel to you since you were a child, and I don't even know why. She sat down heavily. Maybe because you reminded me of myself at your age. I wanted to be an artist too, you know, but I was too scared to try. So you decided to tear down someone who wasn't? Yes, and I'm ashamed of that. Dad came by the next morning. He didn't say much, just helped me organise my paintings and swept the floor. We worked in comfortable silence until he finally spoke. Your mother wants to see the painting again. She's seen it. Not like that. She wants to really look at it, study it. She says it's the most honest thing anyone's ever created about our family. It is. Will you bring her? She's too weak to come here. I found myself back in that hospital room, wheeling in a smaller version of Unforgiven that Chaz had printed on canvas. Mum stared at it for a long time. It's beautiful, she said finally. It's brutal. Same thing sometimes. She pointed to the figure of herself in the painting. Look how small I am there. How scared. You were scared. I was, of losing control, of depending on someone I'd spent years dismissing, of admitting I was wrong about everything that mattered. She touched the painted words above her figure. I said those things because I was terrified of how much I needed you, and I couldn't handle that need coming from someone I'd taught myself to see as a failure. Mum, let me finish. I have something for you. She reached into her bedside drawer and pulled out a letter. I wrote this for after I'm gone, but I want you to read it now. The letter was 3 pages long. It started with an apology and ended with something that made me cry for the first time since the gallery opening. You saved my life twice, Delaney, once with your money and once with your art. The painting showed me who I really was, and it wasn't someone I could live with. So I'm choosing to die as someone different, someone who sees you, someone who's proud of you, someone who loves you not despite your choices, but because of your courage to make them. A knock on the door interrupted us. A young girl, maybe 16, peeked in. Excuse me, are you Delaney Douglas? Yes. I saw your painting online, the one about family. Her voice was shaky. I just wanted to say thank you. For what? For showing me I'm not crazy. My family makes me feel invisible too, but seeing your art, seeing how you turned that pain into something powerful, it made me feel less alone. She handed me a small sketch. I drew this after I saw your painting. It's not very good, but it's perfect. After she left, Mum squeezed my hand. That's why you did it, isn't it? Not just for revenge, for everyone who feels invisible? Maybe. Definitely. The painting now hangs permanently in the Modern Art Museum. The placard reads, Unforgiven, a meditation on family dysfunction and the courage to speak truth through art. I get letters about it every week. From daughters who feel unseen, from sons who sacrificed everything for ungrateful families, from people who found the strength to set boundaries after seeing mine. Mum died on a Tuesday morning in spring. Her last words to me were, paint something beautiful next. At her funeral, Aston gave a speech about family love and support. Lindsay read a poem about mothers and daughters. Vivian cried appropriately, but I didn't speak. Instead, I placed a single paintbrush on her casket. The art world calls Unforgiven my masterpiece. Critics say it revolutionized how we talk about family trauma. It's been featured in textbooks and documentaries, but the moment that mattered most happened last week. I was walking through the museum when I saw a mother and teenage daughter standing in front of the painting. It made me feel seen, the girl whispered, the same words that young visitor had said in Mum's hospital room. Her mother nodded. Me too. They stood there for a long time, really looking, really seeing. I painted my pain to bury it, but in the silence of that gallery, surrounded by strangers who understood, I heard it breathe again. Not as suffering this time, but as something else entirely, as truth, as healing, as hope, and maybe, finally, as forgiveness.